So this is a basic starting routine for hips, spine, and just kind of like a general learning of yoga. The style that I practice and teach in is called Hatha, and the idea is to hold any given pose stretch for 3+ minutes for it to having kind of effect. There's a bunch of research that shows that like static stretching isn't effective at like a cellular level until 2+ minutes. So that's kind of where I get those numbers. So this whole routine, we're going to do everything for 3 minutes, and you can carry on longer as you do the routine more, as you practice more. If you like a certain pose or stretch better than another, you can hold one for longer if that part needs more attention that session. So this session should run about 45 minutes by itself, but like I said, you can extend any of the poses for longer than 3 minutes. I'm going to be doing it with a clock and with the music going. You can also take it with just following along this, and I'll tell you when to switch and everything. Or as you get better or you want to explore it on your own, you can do it to music. So you put in some relaxing, chill music, and you can just play a song and do that pose until the song ends, and then switch on the next song. So you can remove the whole timing element completely out of it, but we won't be doing that right now. And then I want to encourage you to close your eyes as often and as comfortable throughout the session. And that just allows you to kind of like tune a little bit more inward to what's going on. So obviously you're probably going to be watching the whole session while you're doing it and following along. But at any of those moments, like if you can have headphones or you can just listen, and at any point you feel comfortable where you're in the right position that you feel like you're in, you can just close your eyes and it can help you go like a little bit more inward to the process and to what you're doing. Another thing is breathing. We're going to go over some breathing exercises to start off with, but I want to encourage you, while we're doing the poses, the like traditional yoga, to just allow you to just breathe relaxfully and try not to pay too much attention to it. We're not trying to control the breath and the tempo or anything like that. We're trying to notice and pay attention to it. So as you're going into a stretch and like you're doing a lunge and it starts to hurt, you're like, and you might notice that your breath shortens up real tightly and it gets quick. Yeah, that's just something to notice, and not a bad thing, but we want this to be a gentle, relaxful practice, so you can kind of back away from that pain, high threshold, high tempo breathing, back off from it a little bit, and slowly regulate your breathing again. I do all my breathing in through my nose, out through my nose, but you can go through the nose, out through the mouth, but I do encourage the nostril breathing in at least. So allow that to regulate the pacing and how much effort you put into this. It's supposed to be relaxing. So I'd rather have you find the stretch in the pose and be able to relax there and still feel like you're working, but not to be tensed up. We're trying to relax. And that might even mean taking a deep breath in the middle of it just to kind of fall into it. Now, this is a little bit different than how most yoga classes go, teachings. I'm going to be doing a pose, but the intention for you is to discover the pose for yourself, or the movement, or the stretch. So this lunge, right, I feel this in my hip. For some people, they might feel in their back, they might feel it in this leg, in their ankle. You can drive it so that it's more an ankle movement, or you can kind of focus where it's more into the back or in the hip. So once we get into the basic structure, I'll encourage you to explore the different positions, find what feels good, and maybe one session, everything feels really good and you're focusing on working on the hip. And then maybe another session, you're exploring a lot more and moving within the pose. So finding the stillness and being able to hold here for 3 minutes while feeling a stretch and breathing and relaxing the whole time. And then there's other times where you can move around and kind of make it a lot more dynamic. Neither one is right or wrong. I just encourage you to explore both different ways. So, yeah, I think that's a good start. So, we'll go into the first couple movements. And I'll explain everything before we start and then get into it. So the self-massage, all you're going to do is lay down, and this could be on a mat, this could be on a floor, it could be anything comfortable. You just don't want to be so comfortable laying down that you fall asleep, obviously, but finding a comfortable, just like laying down position. And the massage is just going to be exploring your abdomen, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your legs. You can come up in a seated position to explore the legs, and all you're doing is feeling around to see what's tight. If you have an idea of what's tight, what's kind of bothering you, then you can just go directly to that spot. And it's just simple manipulations. So just putting pressure. It doesn't have to be tight. You're not doing a sports massage. It's nice and gentle. Maybe finding a knot and just applying a little bit of pressure. Try to allow it to break up. Try to relax. I find it really powerful to start with the stomach, or at least explore this at some point. Go up into the rib cage, get your fingers in between the ribs. And none of this should be painful. We're not exploring your pain thresholds. We're just exploring your muscles, your joints. And you can work away from the tissues, you can work in, you can just hold one spot. There's no right or wrong, just kind of move throughout the tissue, the different muscles. And just pay attention to what you're feeling, right? If there's something painful that you didn't know was there, maybe there's an emotional connection to some of these pieces. And maybe your breathing picks up or slows down, just paying attention to any and all things that are going on. And one spot I like to do before I finish the massage is just going into the feet. Making sure you're working around the arches, working on the toes a little bit. And going into the face as well, getting into the jaw, around the eyes, the forehead, into the scalp. You can work on your neck a little bit. And it's just exploring that whole time. So that's 3 minutes, so we're just gonna move on. But like I said, if you want to extend, that's somewhere where it can be really relaxing and a very beneficial thing to spend more time on, is with the self-massage and just finding what feels good, giving your body some of that tactile feedback, some of that touch sensation. So we're going to work on crocodile breathing. So that's going to be laying down, fall on your belly. Your hands are just going to be in this like star triangle position, just to allow your head to rest. And we're breathing into the lower abs and the obliques, so trying to push down into the floor. So in through the nose, out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. And you want to hold that tension of that breath. You want to contract the muscles in the abdomen, in the diaphragm. And you want to hold that tension just for 3 or 4 seconds, nothing too uncomfortable, and then try to relax completely and melt into the floor, almost extending your spine into the floor. One thing to pay attention to as you breathe in and after you hold, as you breathe out, try to lengthen that exhale. Try not to just breathe all out and release. Try to exhale and lengthen slowly, like your spine and your legs are just gently being pulled, opposing each other, trying to lengthen. Now you're going to slowly just roll over to your back. You just want to relax your legs. You're going to find your fingertips, find your belly button, and then you're just going to press into the lower abs. And then you're going to breathe in through your nose, pushing up against your fingers and your hand pressure. And so you'll feel that tension. Hold it and just relax. So it's the alligator breathing, but we're up. And then the thumbs will wrap onto the obliques. And then as you breathe in, your thumbs and your fingers should be tightening up against your obliques and your abs. Feeling that tension. And then hold that for a moment and relax. You want to make sure you're making contact every time you breathe in, feeling that contact between your thumbs and your fingers, each of those points. It's not about holding your breath. It's about breathing in, finding that tension, and then being able to relax that tension and the breath. But you shouldn't be feeling like you're holding your breath at all. It should just be the tension in your abs. If you need more sensation there, breathe in, and then lifting the chest. Try to maintain that tension, and then breathe out and relaxing everything. Breathing in, holding, and then lift. And this is also a time to add in that massage, so as you breathe out, you can kind of just massage into that area too. So we'll roll back over to our belly. We're going to kick one leg out to the side. So it should form a 90-degree angle. So our hip, and then our lower leg. And we want to try to get this hip completely flat. So there shouldn't be a space really through here. And you might feel a stretch here, and that's okay. And all you're going to do is press this knee. You're going to think about driving this knee into the ground for about 10 seconds. So this whole front side should kind of tighten up a bit. 10, and then just kind of relax. Again, we're not holding our breath while we're doing this. We're breathing. This is a little bit more high tension, so you're adding all that tension, that pressure. Now, if it's really intense, then just go about an 80% or lower. We're not trying to fight through any pain. We're just trying to find these muscles and try to get them to just get that mind-muscle connection going. So we'll hold about 10 seconds, and then you can just kind of relax for about 5 to 10 seconds before you do another rep or so. And again, while in this laying down position, we should be still focusing on that belly breath, pushing into the ground, just like the alligator breathing. And we're doing just 10 seconds sporadically. Now, if you feel really good, if this position feels strong, if you can find that tension, feel free to try to lift this leg. Again, for about 10 seconds. And then you can kind of relax. And then we'll switch sides. Now I'm looking for this hip to be completely flat. As much as I can. If your leg is like this and that's as far as it goes, that's okay. Just kind of relax into the position a bit. If this feels like an intense, adequate stretch, then you don't need the tensions. If it feels pretty good, you can start to add the tension. Again, driving the knee down. You should feel all this inner thigh, groin musculature tighten up. You're just building that sensation. You might get, if you get a pinching sensation, that's not bad as long as it's not painful. We want to try to avoid pain. And as I always talk about it, right, there's like, if you imagine a circle, pain, right, is all in that inner circle, and we can walk up to that line. And we want to kind of dabble a little bit with the line, cross it a little bit, come back. We just don't want to stay in that pain zone, but we can go close to it and even touch it a little bit and back off from there. And if you're feeling good in this position, you can try lifting the leg. We want to think about through the knee, right? The hip staying flat, and we're coming up. And the idea is not to drive your leg high. We're not trying to do this. We want our hips down and the leg coming off. You feel the glute in the adductors. You'll feel all this musculature really fire if you can keep the hips kind of squared up on the floor. So even if you come off a little bit, that's still fine as well. So we're going to come out of that position, and we're just going to do some rolling. So in a seated position, just kind of coming back and back to a seated. You can hold on to the back of your leg, you can hold on to your knees. Don't think too much about this. It's kind of just rolling, allowing that spine to get a little massage. You can do arms extended overhead. You don't have to go, you can just go here. If that's what you want. You can go all the way back. Wherever you're kind of feeling. You can lay and roll onto your back and onto your belly. Again, just doing what feels good. If these little movements or the big movements, you're going fast or going slow. So from here, we're going to stand. And we can do left or right first, whichever you want. We're going to get into an extended position. And you want to think about like railroad tracks. So they're running right underneath the crossbars, and I'm on the sides. And so, slight bend in the front knee. And you can start to extend and squeeze this glute and extend and feel this. You can add the lean. You can add some arms to even greater stretch that out. You can do a straight leg. You can come up onto the back toe and the front toe. Kind of finding where you feel the stretch. You might have to go a little bit wider with your legs. You might have to lean into this leg a little bit more. So whatever you need to do. And then once you find that comfortable spot, you can close your eyes. Focus on that breathing of just nice and relaxed. This is less about copying and mimicking what I'm doing. It's about getting into a pose and then exploring and finding what's right for you. Might be finding the hip stretch. It might coming down and finding a hamstring stretch, or even moving the arms. It's completely what you start to feel. We're going to stay on this side, so we're going to bend the forward knee and the back knee, come down to a lunge, and this is our position. This lunged ground position, we can bring the foot and the back down, and you can lean into the forward leg, get a really big extension, get an ankle. You can use your hands for balance, you can take them away. If you feel it up here, then this is as far as you need to go. We don't need to push the boundaries and really hammer and crank on any of our joints. As we relax, we can find deeper and deeper positions. We'll just keep gently breathing. We'll come up. You can bring your hands to the center. We'll come up, and we're going to lean towards that forward leg. So this is called a Cossack lunge. On the forward leg is coming up. You can bring it down too. And keep your hands out in front of you, leaning forward. You can bring your hands, have it nice and tall. You can rotate the leg up and have it down. You can stay mostly on this forward leg, or you can even come into a stretch and leaning this way. Again, just kind of finding what feels good to you, what you need to work on. And it might look completely different from what I look like, and that's okay. And once you find that spot, you can hang out there, you can keep moving around, exploring. Just kind of paying attention to that breath, making sure that it's nice and relaxed. And again, if you can, close your eyes, go a little bit deeper once you're comfortable in a spot. We'll come up to center, and then we'll go to the other side. So we'll start with the standing. And again, the heel can stay, come up, and don't feel the pressure that this has to be the same on this side. Of all that stuff we did on the other side, this side's a whole new experience. So you might be tight somewhere else on this. This hip might not be tight at all. It might be the ankle, it might be your knee, it might be your hamstring. So just treat it as a new experience with respect. And if you find something that is uncomfortable, that feels good, that you want to work on, then just start to play around and explore until you find that kind of sensation that you want. And if you fall out because of balance, that's okay. There's no right or wrong with that. Especially if you start closing your eyes and you're coming up onto the toes. Your success in this yoga movement practice session is not based off if you maintained your balance. It's based off however you want to measure it, how you feel during or after or before, and comparing those experiences. And then we'll bend this knee and the back knee. Come into this forward lunge again. Again, hands can come down, they can stay up. We can really push this knee forward. You can really lean back into this hip. center. Come back into this triangle, and then we'll bend into this leg. If the heel comes up, that's okay. We can keep our hands out in front of us. Go up to the tall. You can go down here for a stretch. Yeah, you're just looking for what feels good to you. If it feels good to move around the whole time, as long as you can breathe comfortably, then that's okay. If you kind of find a spot, a stretch that feels kind of good, then you can just kind of hold there, maybe close your eyes. And if this bottom position is too much, you can always come up here and do a lunge. You kind of hang out in this middle spot, that's completely okay too. So we'll kind of come back up to this middle position. Gently bring your legs together. Come up. Just kind of open up your hips a little bit. Just take a nice big deep breath. And then just let everything relax. We'll come into a cobra position. So we'll come down with our legs nice and straight out. We're going to lift up our back, or our chest rather, off the ground without using our hands. So you can either let them float. We're going to lift, and then we can press up. Now a lot of times you see people press and they're trying to straighten their arms and they're cranking on their lower backs. The idea is to use the lower back as a muscle to lift, and then you can kind of press a little bit into it. You can even come onto your forearms. And the idea is to open up the hips and the abs, not to bend at the lower back. So we're thinking length, nice big chest. Be able to breathe here. And then we'll bring our hands to our sides, we'll press, and we'll press back into this child's pose. Arms nice and long. And you don't have to be all the way into your hips. You can be tall up here and still stretched out through the chest. If you feel comfortable, you can kind of sit all the way into your hips. And we're again thinking length. Length through the spine, through the arms, really reaching. And you can be moving in this position too, side to side, or you can just kind of sit, taking nice deep breaths. And then we'll gently come out of this position. We'll do some seated twisting. So we'll choose one leg to kick out, and then the other leg is just going to cross over. And then whichever leg crosses over, we're going to turn towards that side. So my left leg is turning over. So I'm not going to pull on this leg. I'm just twisting as far as I can. I'm going to try to look as far as I can back, and then place the hand close, and then I can add a little bit of twist. And this is just to take some of the pressure off, and it allows me to relax. And anytime you add more twisting to this pose, think about coming from the back and the abs and the obliques twisting, not from pulling on your body. This is just to take some of the muscle tension out once you find your position. And that your pose might look like here. If you feel comfortable here and you feel any stretching or twist, tension here, that's good. If you can go back further. Just being able to breathe nice and deeply the whole time through. We'll take a deep breath, come out of that. There's a switch. And all the twisting, you want to go in and slowly into. You don't want to go quick into any of these movements. So twist as far as you can, and then you can grab a hold, find that place behind. We're thinking tall and twist. Gently come out of that. We got one more pose, and that's just cat-cow. So we'll line up with our wrists and shoulders in line with each other, our hips and knees in line. And then we'll arch our back. Flex our spine. I'm just going back and forth between two positions. You can go as fast or slow, and you can also go joint by joint. So I like to start the hip and round nice and slowly, and try to move slowly up my spine, one piece at a time. one position feels a little bit better, then you can hang out in that position a little bit longer. Lean forward, go side to side. And then our final position is just laying flat. It's called Shavasana. And we're just laying flat on the ground. Legs relaxed, palms facing up, nice and relaxed. You also put your hands on your heart or on your belly. And then you just slowly get up however you want to a sitting position. And I just want to remind, this is a unique practice to you, finding what you need within it, being able to relax and breathe and find spacing in your muscles, in your joints. If your mind wanders during your practice at all, just try to accept it and come back into what you're experiencing now within your body. Feel something, feel a stretch, or just focus on your breathing. It's not that you're doing it wrong or right. It's just, what is the intention? What are you trying to do? And with us practicing, you're just trying to focus on the present moments and what you're experiencing in your body as you're moving your joints, your muscles, and your breath.